Good rising. Welcome to my collaboration and leadership reflection video for Nursing Flex Path Class 4010, Leading People, Processes, and Organizations in Interprofessional Practice. My name is Allison Cochran. During this video, I plan to reflect on an interdisciplinary collaboration experience, noting ways in which it was successful and unsuccessful, and how we achieved desired outcomes while identifying how poor collaboration can result in inefficient management of resources and people. This will all be supported from the literature, and we will identify best practice leadership strategies from the literature also to help interdisciplinary teams achieve goals and work more efficiently together. The healthcare industry is an ever-changing environment. This is in part due to new medical advancements aided by science and evidence-based practice. Advancements made have been aided in patient safety and amplified the management of their health conditions and symptoms. As nurses, we are taught critical thinking. We are not robots, and we need to be able to self-reflect and understand what is working, what is not working, and why. Start parentheses, Jacobs, 2016, end parentheses. Because we're in the business of taking care of people, we should strive to remember to treat our patients with respect and self-worth while still being able to maintain and confirm them as people and equals. As a telemetry med-surg nurse, we get a lot of post-open heart patients who are high fall risks, and they are taking high fall risk medications on the floor that I currently work at. So part of our protocol, we currently do a fall risk assessment per shift, so once every 12 hours. If a patient scores high enough, which most of the time they do, we place a yellow armband on their wrist and we put a yellow star above the outside of their door. In addition to the yellow bracelet given, we also have yellow non-slip socks with kind of a rubbery grip on the bottom, so non-skid. And that's on the bottom of the yellow socks to help with, stability and prevent falls. Next, we start a plan of a plan of care in the electronic charting. It's called an IPOC. So we start a plan in the electronic chart to help prevent falls as well. Recently, my employer has started a new policy called Stay With Me. This policy was designed to decrease falls while using the restroom with our patients. The recent policy states that if anyone takes a fall risk patient to the restroom, whether it be a CNA, a nurse, a transporter, whoever is with that patient at the time, you have to stay with the patient for the duration of their using the restroom. So this is just one sec. Yes, stay with the patient during the duration and then make sure the patient gets back to the bed or the chair or wherever they were before they wanted to use the restroom. Basically, we're with the patient the whole time, maintaining their safety. I recognize the change theory was in place with this protocol. This was accomplished with the unfreeze, change, refreeze concept of the change theory. Begin parentheses, Kelsey and Desga, 2007, end parentheses. The change first happened by rolling out the new procedure by introducing the changes in the morning huddle and then the weekly update emails we also get. They explained the process and they gave a going live date. When the day came, we were recurrently prompted and reminded of the new procedures. Then the changes were closed, and then came the refreeze, so to speak, with the organized new processes in place. As nurses, we are the middleman of so many collaboration teams. Several disciplines communicate through us. It is my belief our biggest partners are the certified nursing assistants, also known as CNAs. We work side by side with our nursing assistants day in, day out, constantly communicating about patient updates, any important changes or needs of the patients. Recently, one of my patients fell while using the restroom. In his words, his knee buckled and he ended up kneeling on the floor. Luckily, there was no injury, nothing major. His knee was just a little bit sore, still able to move, all of that. Though my CNA did everything that she could to keep the patient safe, his knee still buckled. Mishaps happen. After we regrouped and got the patient situated back in bed, we did 4 separate falls paperworks to understand how we could have handled the situation better in the future. The certified nursing assistant knew the patient was a fall risk, so she stayed with the patient in the room while the patient used the restroom. We got that part down. The patient wanted privacy, so she stood right outside the door to the restroom with the door cracked open slightly. The patient was inside of the CNA, but not in arm's reach. This we identified as something that could have been better practiced. Another helpful approach could be education, educating the patient about new deficits after having had a stroke. The patient said he tried to shift his weight without any assistance, and his new mobility deficits are hard to cope with. This is even more of a reason to educate and reinforce safety measures with the patient. When reinforcing education with the patient, we were sensitive to his grief and his feelings while keeping his independence a priority. The last improvement identified was a wheelchair the patient transferred from to the toilet that was left in front of him, so turning would be easier when he was done using the restroom and ready to get back in the wheelchair. This is a huge barrier between the nursing assistant and the patient, a huge physical barrier. So the nursing assistant was out of reach of the patient because, the physical barrier of the wheelchair was in between them. So if anything, the CNA was helpless when it comes to preventing falls because of that physical barrier in between her and the patient. In addition to the fall paperwork, we needed to complete a electronic, documentation of the fall as well. Any incident that gets an electronic file gets discussed. It gets discussed in a safety meeting the next day between staff, management, leaders, and educators. Falls are a strain of resources and finances for a healthcare facility, especially if a fall happens accompanied with an adverse reaction. Expensive injuries / lawsuits may ensue. So it literally depends how and where they fall and what hits first, so to speak. When considering a scenario with Via Health shifting from paper charting system to the electronic charting system, HealthX, it is evident that there is a deep problem pertaining to the team's culture. Between management, care staff, and corporate, there seems to be a problem. Let's start at the beginning. Implementation. There was a contract between corporate and HealthX. This is logical. It's a legal binding document. The staff had concerns that this new electronic system would not meet all of their needs. This caused frustration and tension within the staff, and they felt like they were not heard by corporate. However, the rollout of the new HealthX was very fast and put into place without staff feedback, which also made the rollout very rocky. To add to frustrations, the presenter that rolled out HealthX also did not listen to staff concerns. The management team also failed at leading the team positively due to being frustrated themselves, which also gave the employees another reason to push back on the launch even harder. Teamwork took a hit when the employees that had poor attitudes and consequently unwilling to work together. Personally, I noticed this team was missing patient-centered approach. Looking at the model for the person-centered situational leadership framework, you can see that everything is about balance. Begin parentheses, Lynch McCants, McCormick, and Brown, 2017, Figure 2, end parentheses. Using this model, you will find a balance between concerns for person-centeredness, concern for compliance, as well as motivating your team to act harmoniously with the company's visions and company's actions. This leads to increased level of care and allows the team to feel heard and concerns validated. Begin parentheses, Lynch, et.al., period, 2017, Figure 2, end parentheses. The goal was to boost the morale around the workspace, thus boosting the attitudes of employees regarding changes, and in turn, the employees would be more willing to make changes to their work environment for the better, all while keeping in mind the patient is the priority. This transformation of leadership style needs to start at a corporate level and trickle down to the bottom levels, getting everyone involved. I identify with this model because I have worked with companies with impeccable person-centered leadership, and then I have worked with companies and facilities that did not have the patient centered at the foremost priority. They work hard to get our feedback and concerns voided. For the good, company that I did work for, they always had surveys, and they worked really hard to get our feedback and our voices. They cared about our concerns voiced. All new policies and changes were rolled out smoothly and with sufficient notice, and provide the staff with multiple resources, if ordered, to deliver safe, patient-centered care. This scenario and model were a nice reminder that I am happy that I work for a good company, and I am very, I am very pleased with the company that I work with. And so this ends my presentation. Thank you.